Well, good morning everyone. Kaye here on my homestead in Tennessee. Well, you haven't seen me on camera since before the tragic events of this past week, because the videos that I uploaded I filmed before that happened. So I thought we should have a chat. Grab your mug and let's get started. You know, I debated about what I could possibly offer to the conversation about what happened last week. But my friend said yesterday there hasn't been an outpouring of love around the world since Princess Diana was killed. And I thought, wow, I guess he's right. You know, we didn't have the internet the way we have today back then, so we had to kind of rely on what we were told about what happened to her. And we just had to accept the fact that this bright light that brought so much love and care and compassion to the world, not to mention the fact that she was absolutely stunning, beautiful inside and out. We just had to accept that she was gone. There were vigils and prayer vigils and mountains of flowers. I get choked up thinking about it. It was a tragedy, a suspicious tragedy. But it doesn't change the fact that she moved on. My mother, you know, as your life pares down, and I'm going to be definitely facing this, I should already start, and I keep telling myself I need to get started because I have so much stuff. Now I'm competing with the tractors going down the road. I should have done this yesterday. My mother, as she pared her things down, you know, from two little houses, the one where we grew up and then the one right next door, which she insisted upon buying so she could have that for family to stay because we had a small house. And my father actually was able to buy this property for like $12,500, this little 2-bedroom, 1-bath house, which she completely decorated with all of her hand-sewn decorations. So that was the guest house. Anyway, we pared down her things and I went for a week. Took a week away from children and my work and everything to go and help her pare down her things. Actually, she didn't have as much stuff as I do now. That's scary. But anyway, when she moved to her apartment, and then later she moved into her assisted living. Okay, I'll try to talk in between tractors the way I did in California between the flights overhead. That's a honeybee. Can you it's right there. Can you see it? As the things got pared down and pared down and pared down, and there was even a pare down between her first years of being able to move around and kind of enjoy the assisted living. I mean, she made the best of it. She never was happy about being there, but she made the best of it, as she always did everything in her life. Never gave anybody any trouble. And so in her few things that were left, there was the celebratory magazine that was put out. Remember when we had magazines? About Diana and all of the, you know, beautiful pictures and outfits and places she went, and it was just celebrating Diana. But she had also hung on to one with Jackie Kennedy, a Life magazine with Jackie Kennedy on the front, and I just went inside thinking I could put my hands right on it, and I don't know where it is. But if I come across it when I do start organizing, I'll be sure and we'll do another video. You know, when I used to go to auditions, you can't walk into an audition and have a frog in your throat. That won't work. So you always drive a lot in LA to get to an audition. Usually you have to get on the freeway and you're sitting, it's like a half an hour to get anywhere, minimum. And you have plenty of time to warm up your vocal cords, which I need to start doing, obviously. Here. Oh, there goes my neighbor. They went camping this weekend. They texted me on Thursday and said, we're out of milkweed, because I gave them a butterfly enclosure, and they planted some milkweed, and I gave them an enclosure. I said, listen, if you want the girls to see, they've got 2 young girls, if you want the girls to see what this is like, the transformation, I'll give you this enclosure. And I told them how to do it. And so they texted on Thursday and they said, we're out of milkweed, they've just eaten us. They had 8 caterpillars and they had just eaten everything. It was gone. And so we went up here and I cut a bunch for them. And because I feel like my monarch has gone on. And by the way, I still have not edited my monarch video, but I'm going to. In searching for answers about how something like this could happen, you have to look back at the landmark interview that G. Edward Griffin did with the Soviet defector. I think it was in 1991, I'm not exactly sure. But he filmed an interview with this man who explained how the West was going to be taken over. I think there were 5 steps. One is demoralization, and one is normalization, and I forget the order, but that made such an impression on me. I saw it again in 2020 when, when you start questioning what's going on, you do a deep dive, and that was one of the things I came across. He said in the 90s that the takeover of our nation had almost been complete, and that he said the Soviet leaders would be amazed at how successful they had been. Think about that. And that was 30 years ago. You may notice I've got a new batch of, oops, some of these are wilted, new batch of wheat celosia that I put into a vase. Pretty soon that's going to be done, and I've got to get a video made. It's the most stunning thing I grew this year. So anyway, my son graduated from Stanford in 2013 and 2014, bachelor's and then master's in regenerative agriculture. And the mindset was so very different then, and or at least mine was. I was not aware of a lot of stuff. And the speaker for his graduation, can you imagine? The speakers for his second graduation, when he got his master's, was none other than Bill and Melinda Gates. And at the time I thought, wow, this is great, wow. How your opinion changes when you start doing research. At any rate, Turning Point USA was, Charlie Kirk founded it in 12 years ago, so that would have been right about that time, 2013. And so I wasn't, I never went to an event, I never experienced any of that. And I didn't really know about it. I knew he became a high-profile conservative, obviously, because if you're following what's going on, you can't miss that. But I had seen many short videos just coming through my feed. You know, when you watch one, then the algorithm tells you, oh, she liked that, let's give her more. And so I had seen probably 100 or hundreds, I don't know, of videos, you know, short videos of him interacting with people at various college campuses. And I was always struck by his depth of knowledge of the Bible. I mean, could just fire it off. But I didn't really know much else. And but I do now, because it's been nonstop on the internet, and a lot of people are saying this is a turning point. And I say let the revivals begin, because we need it, especially our youth. I mean, he positively affected a lot of young people. Witness all of these vigils and how upset everyone is. And, you know, I'm sure it's not lost on you that the forces that want to destroy our country were burning things down and rioting, and no one was going to jail, and it was just chaos just a few years ago. And since this happened, even though it's tragic, violent, and it was a violent event, which now everyone has seen. I did not want to see it, but it was buried within another video, and it just went to that, and I burst into tears because I just thought I didn't want to see that. There's some things you can't unsee, and that's the problem, or unhear, and that's the problem today, is our young people are exposed to these ideas and visuals and images and pornography and you name it. And it's morally degrading to a point where, you know, you're confused about what you even are. And this has all been part of a plan. If you separate a nation that was founded under God from God, what is going to happen? You know, all great nations fall at some point. The Roman Empire fell. Okay, so we are naive to think that this great nation of the United States is going to go on forever, and be a world power forever. It's with the debt that we're in and the chaos, and it's still the greatest place on earth to be, in my opinion, but still we're kind of on the precipice, and we need the revivals to begin more than ever, in my opinion. And these are just my opinions. So I should have said at the beginning, if you don't want to hear about my thoughts, just scroll on. I mean, I have had people occasionally say, stick to gardening, in comments below. And I go, okay, well, did you see the last 10 videos? You know, or the last 100 videos, or the last 500 videos? They were all about what I'm doing here in the garden. Discoveries I'm making. I mean, since the very beginning of Late Bloomer, I have, in fact, it's in my 30-second preview video that I still have up there because I don't think I can improve upon it, frankly. I had an editor, a sound editor, you know, and all of that back then. And how am I going to improve upon that for a preview? I can't. And in fact, what I say in that preview, I'll put the link, well, I'll put the link below also, my preview video. It's 30 seconds. Because at the time, YouTube said, you need a 30-second preview. Okay, so I follow the rules. I did my 30-second preview. And it was exactly 30 seconds, and it was bright and cheerful, and it said exactly what I'm interested in the garden, and that is insects and flowers and vegetables and growing your own food, and we're going to talk to farmers, and we're going to talk to these people, and we're going to do this, and we're going to do that, and I've done all that for 13 years. But now, with things ramped up in our world and on the internet, and with so many people, so many channels, it's hard to get views on garden videos. And so I keep doing it because it's what I'm interested in, and I think that it enriches anybody. I try to enrich anybody's life in every minute of my video. I don't start out strong and then just kind of trail off. You know, it's like all the way through, I want there to be something beautiful, something interesting, a question answered, a problem I'm having that maybe you could help me with. Yeah, so that's what I've tried to do here, but it's been very, very, very hard to get views. And one of my pals on YouTube has announced this week that he was going to be stepping away from his annual garden video production due to health problems and other things. And I just thought, wow, you know, maybe it's time I did that. I don't know. You know, I am energized by the virtues that Charlie extolled in his interactions with people, his appearances, his speeches, his podcast, to, you know, live your life with courage and in faith, and to, I've always felt like God led me to this. Why else would I be here? You know, I mean, I could have retired into a nice little condo somewhere and just, you know, have a cat or two and and just write my book, make my photography book. But no, I took all of this on because I am so amazed by it, and I think maybe you will be too. I mean, I'm staring at this. It's a weed. This giant ironweed is just stunning. It's a weed. And I've got a bunch, you know, I've got horseweed over here, and the jury is out on that. I'm going to pull it out before it goes to seed, because too many things, you know, I'm pulling out weeds way too much. But this driveway garden has been an inspiration. I hope it has been for you too. I mean, if you saw the other side when I was over there, I've still got, this is the middle of September, and I've got petunias, giant ironweed, I've got lavender, salvia, I've got dahlias about to bloom. I've waited all summer, and you better believe there's buds all over this plant here. I'm going to be featuring that. You better believe it. I've got calendula blooming, rudbeckia, I never say that right, coneflower, zinnias. What else is blooming? I mean, geranium. It's a few things, you know, are still blooming. And like I said in the ironweed video last year, you know, you want to have something beautiful that's blooming later in the summer when everything else is kaput, you know. At any rate, this person I follow on X, he is a hard-working EMT, and he has been maligned by the haters and by posting his observations in the line of his work now. But he posted a really well thought out piece this morning about how this demoralization and normalization and all of that has affected our youth, and it's going to take a lot to change that. So I'm hoping that the love, I'm hoping that all of the love shown to this individual who was brutally eliminated this past week, the day before 9/11. I'm hoping that all of the love, kindness, closeness to God that has been on display across the internet, across the world, that won't make people more angry, but it will soften them. And I pray for this, that their hearts will be softened and their eyes and ears will be opened. Because if you really listen, and I honestly hadn't that much, because I just hadn't. But if you really listen, you to him and not to the people who want you to be hating other people, you'll find that he didn't spew hate. But people become so convinced, these young minds become so convinced because they see these threads on these unknown people they don't even know, on these chat rooms and things, can influence them to do something dastardly. And who suffers the consequences? Not them. The person doing the deed, and also the family members. Can you imagine? Can you imagine? I can't imagine. So, my adopted son is almost exactly his age. And so I heard from him right away. And I just pray that the revivals begin, like a wave going across the country. Because a country founded under God that has been separated from God systematically over the decades cannot stand. And I would really like to see a safe world for our children and grandchildren, where they have an opportunity to speak freely, peacefully, and yeah, there's so much more to be said. Those are my thoughts. Anyway, I am still searching for answers about what happened to me on the road that night. I wanted to just, it wasn't enough for a video, but I have discovered that I have another issue, and so I am going to get a pulmonary test, and then see what I learn from that, and go from there. But the weather right now is blissful. It's UVA, completely clear blue sky. The birds are singing, the flowers are blooming, and I hope I have brought a little bit of clarity and brightness to your day. God bless you, and I'll see you in the next video.